people. The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
And law enforcement analysts here on CNN have raised questions as to why the picture of this gun that DHS shared online was shown on the seat of a car and not in the scene where Pretti was shot. And we now have an answer. CNN analysis shows, if you watch all those videos carefully, you see a federal agent right there who appears to be removing a gun. This is very critical to remember. That piece of video you're seeing right there is happening about a second or maybe slightly less than a second before the shooting begins. Now, it is just video. We have to look at it. There will be a lot of questions here, but that's the reason people say you have to have a truly impartial and fair investigation here, because if he removed the gun before all this shooting broke out, then why is this man now dead?
Well, I mean, obviously, Aaron, at the core of it, you have an unbelievable tragedy where it appears that a potentially unarmed person was essentially assassinated by horrible law enforcement tactics that dramatically escalated the situation. But, you know, there are so many questions here. At the absolute core of lethal force training, in the FBI Academy, in the Academy at Glencoe, Georgia, where DHS agents, ICE agents, Border Patrol folks go through, you are taught from the very beginning that if you use your weapon, you have to be able to, after the fact, articulate exactly why you perceived an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury. And so nothing happens here, just like nothing happened after the killing of Renee Good. You know, in fact, so what we have seen, Aaron, is now we have a very common set of circumstances. We know what the game plan is for the White House and DHS. Immediately after the event, they go to the media and they put out a version of events that paints the victim as a domestic terrorist. It's happened to Renee Good. They then said Renee Good's wife was also a domestic terrorist, which of course neither of them are. And now immediately they say the same thing about this man. And so that's absolutely contrary to any effort to stage a legitimate investigation. You would never have high-ranking officials from the agency involved going out to the public.
He cared about people deeply, and he was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States with ICE, as millions of other people are upset, said Michael Pretti, Alex's father. He thought it was terrible, you know, kidnapping children, just grabbing people off the street. He cared about those people, and he knew it was wrong, so he did participate in protests. Pretti was a U.S. citizen born in Illinois. Like Good, court records showed he had no criminal record, and his family said he had never had any interactions with law enforcement beyond a handful of traffic tickets. In a recent conversation with their son, his parents, who live in Colorado, told him to be careful when protesting.
We need ICE out of Minnesota. They are not making us more safe. As the tragic killing this morning, as people saw it viscerally on that video, shows us they are making us less safe. And finally, we call on our Republican colleagues to stand with us. I know they know what's going on here because it's happening in their own districts. Right now, we are focused on getting ICE out of the state. And of course, we will use every lever that we have. But I do remind people that Donald Trump runs the White House.
This individual showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers. They responded according to their training and took action to defend the officer's life and those of the public around him. And I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers.
Our message is really clear and straightforward.
This was an incredibly split-second decision that had to be made by ICE officers confronting a very complicated, violent situation.
Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino says his men were just defending themselves when they shot the 37-year-old.
The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation.
Asked several times today for evidence that Alex Pretti was a threat, brandishing his weapon, which he was legally entitled to carry, at agents, as suggested by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. He either couldn't or wouldn't give it.
We have an investigation that is going to answer those questions. How many shots were fired? Who fired shots?
Whoa!
The incident was captured from multiple angles, but White House officials continue to insist that Alex Pretti intended to hurt the Border Patrol agents when he got into that scuffle yesterday.
You do not get to attack law enforcement officials in this country without any repercussions.
This was an incredibly split-second decision that had to be made by ICE officers confronting a very complicated, violent situation.
Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino says his men were just defending themselves when they shot the 37-year-old.
The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation.
Asked several times today for evidence that Alex Pretti was a threat, brandishing his weapon, which he was legally entitled to carry, at agents, as suggested by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. He either couldn't or wouldn't give it.
We have an investigation that is going to answer those questions. How many shots were fired? Who fired shots? Where was the guns? Where were the guns located?
But with federal officials in charge of the investigation, confidence among the community here is pretty low that it'll be conducted properly.
What side do you want to be on? The side of an all-powerful federal government that can kill, injure, menace, and kidnap its citizens off the streets? Or on the side of a nurse at the VA hospital who died bearing witness to such government?
It's clear the only thing that will ease tensions here in Minneapolis is for the 3,000 ICE agents sent here by the White House to leave, and to leave immediately.
Some Americans are skeptical that an ICE agent who shot dead a man in the US city of Minneapolis was acting in self-defense. New videos show Alex Pretti had been disarmed and was facing away from the gun when he was fatally shot. US correspondent Rob Scott is in Minneapolis.
Well, despite the sub-zero temperatures here in Minneapolis, thousands of people have taken to the streets, marching through the downtown area, white hot with anger, expressing their frustration not only at ICE but also at Donald Trump after the shooting death of 37-year-old Alex Pretti.